wondering if you could do 2 favors.
Well, what are they?
Taking me to the nearest police station.
What's going on, son? Have a seat there.
It's personal business.
Ring.
Whoa! Wait a minute, how do you come to my house?
And I'm a good woman. I don't do naughty things.
The lives of family lifestyle influencers Jody Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke imploded on August 30th, 2023, when one of Ruby's 6 children was discovered weak and hurt. The other 5 had not been accounted for at this time, and law enforcement wasted no time in launching a full investigation. As the police delved into the twisted dynamic that had grown between the 2 women, they never could have anticipated the depths of the depravity the children were subjected to, or the mind-boggling justifications offered by the perpetrators.
I just want my kids back. I want my family back.
Adults have a really hard time understanding that children can be full of evil and what that takes to fight it.
The following report is based on police records. When Dan Clarkson answered his doorbell at 10:46 a.m. on August 30th, 2023, he never could have expected his actions would kickstart a nationally publicized police investigation. However, as soon as he laid eyes on the young boy outside, he immediately knew something was very, very wrong. His Ring camera captured the heartbreaking conversation that ensued.
Yes.
Hi, I was just wondering if you could do 2 favors.
Well, what are they?
Taking me to the nearest police station. Well, actually, just one's fine.
What's going on, son? Have a seat there.
It's personal business.
This was actually the second neighbor the boy had attempted to contact. At the first house, there was no answer, so he'd been forced to move on. The disturbing reason he was seeking help came out when Dan made this emotional call to 911.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. Said he had just came from a neighbor's house. He's hungry and he's thirsty.
While Dan was on the phone with the 911, his wife gave the boy, who introduced himself as Russell, snacks to eat while waiting for help to arrive. But shockingly, there was something more appalling about the boy's condition than his extreme malnutrition.
He has duct tape around
big
his ankle.
injuries. There's sores around them.
Yeah, there's sores around him. I think there's a good chance he's been...
He also has
and he has it around his
wrist
ankle.
as well.
I mean, his wrist as well. Okay, this boy has been...
No, they should get the gun out.
And yet, the most heartbreaking revelation.
Brother, I feel this shit happens, bro, I get the gun ASAP. Because if the fucking parents are doing this to their child, we think they're gonna do it to an adult. But it's like a hell
were
no.
yet to come.
Okay, this boy has been... This kid has obviously been... I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds. He says what's happened to him is his fault.
We need the police here now.
The police and an ambulance were already on the way. During the tense waiting period, Russell revealed that he'd been staying with his mother and her friend, Jody Hildebrandt, since May. Terrifyingly, he added that he wasn't the only child in Jody's house. His 2 sisters, ages 9 and 14, were still inside.
I'll take more.
As Russell underwent medical assessment, more police officers arrived.
We need to identify that house. And if there's 2 other kids there, we need to go do a security sweep of that house and help them.
They were about to realize that they'd gotten there in the nick of time. As the police staged in Dan's driveway, a woman drove up in her car and announced that she was searching for a 12-year-old boy. She gave her name as none other than Jody Hildebrandt, the woman Russell said his family had been staying with. Cleverly, the police didn't tell Jody how much they already knew. They just took down her address and said they would come to speak with her shortly. She didn't have to wait long.
Oh damn, he's gonna get the fucking scope on and shit.
Ring.
Police officers, open up!
Bro, the type of house they build in the desert are diabolical. Like, what a piece of fucking shit this is. Look at that piece of shit fucking door. What is this disgusting ass Lego blocks lobby? What is this shit? What do you even do in this spot?
Got movement right here.
Right there.
Contact. Got movement. Open the door!
Chat likes
Jody?
it.
I need you to step out.
I have my attorney.
That's great. Step out of the house.
No, I'm not gonna step out of the
Step out of the
house.
house.
Step out of the house.
Whoa.
We're just gonna see if
Whoa,
anybody
whoa,
else.
whoa.
Is there anybody else home?
Wait a minute, how do you come to my house?
Right there.
Look, they come into my house. Do you have a search warrant?
We'll explain it after this.
You can't just come into my house without a search warrant.
Jody was mistaken about the need for a warrant
Yeah,
to
no
enter the
shit.
home because the police already
Probable
had
cause,
probable
yeah,
cause
no
due to a
shit.
911 call that the neighbors had placed after Russell showed up at their door. There was a clear emergent need to enter and a warrant wasn't necessary. The police must account for the welfare of the other two children. They certainly had their work cut out for them, though, because the house was massive. During the search, the police found one room that appeared to be set up for filming. This, they would learn, was because Jody and Ruby both had a significant online presence. More details would emerge throughout the investigation, revealing the dark side of these social media influencers.
Dude.
To ensure that they left no
Okay, chat. Hold on. Out of all families and parents, how many are influencers? Not a lot. A very small percentage, right? Out of all of those, right? How many have stories of them abusing their children? A bunch. There's a good amount. What the fuck is it with... Bro, I think the exploitative nature and the thinking pattern of doing that and starting that has a massive correlation with the people who abuse their children and harm them. That needs to be studied, Loki.
corner unchecked. The investigators retrieved the blueprints of the house. This turned out to be a brilliant idea, as the schematics revealed something that might have been overlooked otherwise. Outside, Jody did not appear to be shy about expressing her displeasure at the intrusion.
I have Airbnb guests over there. Probably scared them to death.
Okay. Is there anybody else in the house?
Yes,
2 kids?
there's a little girl.
Just one?
She's right over here.
Okay.
The Airbnb guests were the least of the police's worries right now. Following Jody's instructions, they made their way down the hall
Wait.
to a bathroom
The Airbnb guests?
with a large closet. What they found inside was devastating.
Hi, I'm a police officer. Are you Uncle Union here? Hey, you okay? Is it just you in here? I'm Sergeant Tobler. What's your name? I just have one. Where's your sister at? Contact one. You okay? Huh? You doing okay? You don't want to talk to me? Yeah, that's okay. Can you come with me though? We got Jody out here. You know Jody?
According to the information Jody gave, this was Russell's 9-year-old sister Eve.
We want to be best buddies, but we're getting a little mad here because he won't give me his shoes. Guess what? I learned how to ride a bike with no training wheels. Come here, I'll show you.
Despite the officer's gentle approach, she sat eerily still and quiet, hardly giving a sign that she could even hear him.
You take your time, bud. I'm in no hurry. I'm a police officer. Did you know that? I don't mean to hurt you at all. You doing okay?
Abused
scared?
children do tend to fucking shut down a bunch.
Yeah.
It's like some psychological thing
You're okay.
during development.
Do you need help? I'm not gonna hurt you. Promise. See this right here? It's a badge. It tells me I don't hurt people. I'm just here to make sure you're okay. And I get you if you're scared. I would be too. Okay?
Really, chat?
You wanna come with me?
Really? Really, chat? Really? You're gonna lip dart on me like that? Really? You're gonna do that, chat? Kappa. Brother. It's not because there's a bunch of dumb fuck ones fuck ass ones, okay? That is not the ones that this was your child. They try to be nice and chill and helpful, and they save lives. Like what?
Still, Eve didn't respond. They hatched a new plan to win her over with pizza. While they waited for the food to arrive, the officers kept her company with the utmost patience, refusing to rush her out of the closet until she made the choice to leave.
I'm just gonna sit down. It's okay if I just sit here with you. We don't have to say anything if you don't want to. Okay? I'll just sit here with you.
Meanwhile, back with Russell, the EMTs got a close-up look at the duct tape and wounds around his ankles.
Chat,
what they found.
Chat, I want to pause this and show chat some chat a video research about the psychology with children. Chat, if anyone knows what I'm talking about,
Was almost unspeakably gruesome. But even this was overshadowed by what Russell said next. In between bites of the snacks from the neighbors, he told the police officer documenting his injuries additional details, which made the situation all the more sickening.
You're not in trouble with me.
It's a good video.
Okay? We're just trying to figure out what's going on. Our main focus right now is you. Okay? Who put the ropes on you? Supposed to help you what?
The police report revealed the chilling answers that were redacted in the body cam footage. Russell said that Jody and his mother, Ruby Frankie, had restrained him with ropes to help him with what he'd been choosing. How the women had chosen to treat the resulting wounds left EMTs puzzled. The officer who spoke with Russell repeated the distressing details to his supervisor on the phone.
They put cayenne pepper mixed with honey and then covered that with the plastic saran wrap and then the duct tape.
What?
Detectives had found evidence of the honey and cayenne mixture in the upstairs bathroom, along with more ropes, used bandages, and other wound dressings.
A medical got there, they started cutting the stuff off him, and then you can see like the dark around his ankles. You could smell it. When they went to go peel it, they thought it was some of the dressing. It was actually his skin that was peeling.
Obviously, the police wanted to talk to Russell's mother to understand what could possess someone to treat a child in such a manner. As of yet, though, Ruby Frankie, along with Russell's older sister, were still unaccounted for. Jody,
Chat, what is the chemical significance of those ingredients? Is there some weird, maybe they're brain dead and it's healing, or something that hurts?
Certainly wasn't sharing where Ruby was, as her behavior became increasingly strange as the house search continued. When this officer seemed unreceptive to her stare, she tried a different target.
You waiting for me to say something, or? Okay.
Inside, the search went on for more children, especially Julie, the older sister Russell said was at Jody's house. There was no sign of her yet, so the police decided it was time to confront Jody about what they'd found when referencing the blueprints. A safe room in the basement, locked with a vault door.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You have a room downstairs that has a safe wheel on the front.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get access to that to ensure that there's no one else in this home?
Adam.
They do need to search that there's nobody else, so I think you can give them access to make sure there's nobody in there.
Yeah, no shit.
After further back and forth to get the lock combination from Jody, a team returned to the basement to open the safe. Upstairs, additional officers were still trying to gain the trust of the little girl in the bathroom closet.
Found dead skin.
She found dead skin.
Dead skin.
Get out from underneath my bed. Right now.
Sorry, Mom.
I am more...
Whoa. The what?
Additional officers were still trying to gain the trust of the little girl in the bathroom closet.
Where's this video from?
Dead skin.
She found dead skin.
Dead skin.
Get out from underneath my bed. Right now.
Sorry, Mom.
I am more upset that you came in my room when you weren't supposed to. You knew that it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
You're still going to have the consequence of not having your nails done for a month.
Mom.
It's a deal. Give me a hug.
Mom. Can I help you two to get paid? Because I want a lot of money.
They likely hoped that the arrival of the pizza would change things in their favor, but they were in for yet another surprise.
I'll put the spoon, okay? You want to hurry? You can eat. There we go.
Despite how painfully thin she appeared, Eve didn't go for the food right away.
That guy looks busting though.
Eve proceeded to eat the entire pizza and requested 2 more large slices from the lunch that the police had.
Like this man, motherfucker.
As Eve ate, the plan was to focus on opening the safe, but suddenly a new priority emerged. With no warning, Ruby Frankie, Russell and Eve's mother, arrived on scene. After determining that she had no weapons on her, she was taken to a separate area of the house to wait out the search. The police would check in with Ruby once they finished going through the house. The only place left to look was the basement safe room. When they opened the door, though, they were likely crushed. Julie was not inside. At first glance, the room looked to be nothing more than a barren bolt hole reserved for emergencies. When they started opening drawers, though, they turned up some stomach-churning evidence: handcuffs, a length of rope, and a carabiner. Based on the condition of Russell and Eve, the police received an official search warrant that enabled them to collect these items, along with many of the electronics, as evidence. But even after being in the house for hours, there was still no sign of Julie or the other Frankie siblings. The only certain thing was what should happen with Jody and Ruby. They were both placed under arrest for aggravated child abuse.
Okay, just place your hand behind your back for me. Perfect.
During the arrest process, the officers likely noticed some strange behavior from Ruby. She didn't say a single word, even when put in the back of a police car with Jody. The police had to hope she would be more verbose when the time came to ask her how Russell and Eve had gotten in such miserable conditions.
Okay, go ahead and have a seat. She is definitely not a talker.
She not? Not everything.
Even if I ask her a name or just like, not even ask about things, she looks at me and goes.
While Jody was at least responding to direct questions, whether she would respond to the hard ones police had in store was yet to be seen.
I'm a little nervous.
You're that, to be honest with you, if I was sitting over there, I'd be a little nervous too. So don't worry about it. We're just here to talk, to get your side.
So I trust my attorney. He said, don't say anything. And I said, I have nothing to hide. And he's like, I know that, but just let me be there with you when you talk. So you guys seem nice people. I'd like to just tell you, but I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're gonna flip my word. I'm a psychologist. I've watched people flip things all the time. So I get it. I sit on your side. I get it. It looks sad that I don't want to answer anything, but it's not because I'm trying to be difficult.
Even though Jody refused.
So if she's a psychologist, then she knows what's the damage that you're doing to children when this shit happens, right? Unless she's not part of this, I don't get it.
To talk without a lawyer, trying to get information from Ruby was astronomically more difficult.
We're just here to talk to you about kind of a few things involving your kids. So first, do you live down here or? Or do you live up north? Do you want to talk to me about where you live, or?
Hey, if I say, I get canceled. I'm not gonna say anything.
You don't want to talk to us about anything?
So yeah, this is just your chance to tell us. We're just trying to get your side of the story. So it's your chance to do that, but it's up to you.
I'll wait till I have a lawyer. Okay. So you don't want to talk to us at all?
There was hardly any doubt that the two women had done horrible things to Ruby's children. But with both women unwilling to talk, the police still had no idea why. Answers, though, were closer than anyone thought. When the detectives first got to the police station, they found a surprise visitor waiting. Ruby's husband, Kevin Frankie, was there, and he wanted to pick up his kids. With so many burning questions pertaining to the Frankie family, Kevin was detained and taken to a third interrogation room where he was read his rights.
How did you find out that you needed to come here to the street?
I received a message that I needed to come pick up my kids from the police department in Highlands.
And who was that message from?
Well, I prefer not to say right now.
Does it make sense that that would happen? I'm just not aware of anyone who did that from our department.
Right. And I'm not comfortable saying right now who reached out to me.
Okay.
Was that Jody?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Kevin was keeping quite close-lipped. However, it wasn't all bad news. Back at Jody's house, Eve finally seemed to be warming up to law enforcement.
You don't want to talk? Okay. There's nothing at all you want to talk about at all? It's okay to talk to me. Are you scared? We helped your brother. And we got him some help too. And that's what we want to do for you. If we want to get you some help too. We are safe. We will not hurt you, and we won't do anything to hurt you.
It took a total of 4 hours before Eve was willing to leave the closet with medical personnel. When examining her in the ambulance, EMTs discovered that she had wounds on her feet and decided that she and Russell both needed to go to the hospital. Thankfully, as Kevin's conversation with police continued, he was willing to provide some crucial context.
And how many kids do you have, Kevin?
I have 6 kids.
So are they all living with you, or?
No, I haven't seen them for over a year.
Any of them?
No, none of them.
For a year?
Over a year.
Okay.
I've been in a separation.
From who?
From my wife and family. Ruby invited me to leave the home while I thought about the choices that I've made in my life and the way that I've treated her.
And did you ever try to reach out to the kids, drop by the home, or was there?
I honored the no separation ban.
How do you even attend to every child's needs equally if you're not almost double full time, like almost like housewives, whatever, right? If you have 6 of them, that's insane. 6 of them? How? That's not impossible.
We agreed to.
When was the last time you saw Ruby?
The last time I saw her was the 18th of this month. We met to, she requested me to sign over vehicles, or the titles to the vehicles, the vehicle that she drives, that were all in my name.
When's the last time you physically saw Russell or Eve?
The day that I moved out, July 24th, 2022. So my job is to financially provide for them.
I was trying to figure out like how much of a role do you play in the caretaking of specifically of those 2 kids?
I pay the bills.
Okay.
With my job, I provide the money, goes into a shared bank account, and that's my only involvement.
As the conversation went on, Kevin seemed to be just as in the dark as the investigators.
Who lives in that home with your, is it ex-wife? Is it currently a separated wife? Like, who lives in that home with your children?
To be honest, I don't know. I know that she's there.
How's that CLM? If you're able, like, let's say the girl's insane, she's not letting him like see the kids or some shit, she pulled some shit. Why wouldn't this guy provide for his children? What? How's that CLM? Wouldn't this guy be providing for his children?
With 4 of the children, and our 2 older children have moved out.
This likely came as a shock to investigators. If there were 4 Frankie children still living at home, that meant they weren't just missing Julie,
probably should fight
but
for custody,
another one
low-key.
of Russell's teenage sisters, Abby. Before launching into a frantic search, the detectives decided to finish talking to Kevin, hoping he could give them an idea of where to look for the girls. As the conversation went on, though, Kevin's story only got stranger.
Who's this female Jody that your wife lives with? Do you know a female named Jody?
She is a therapist and a life coach, I know. And she's...
Do you respect her?
Do I respect her? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think she's a very honest, truthful person, yes.
Okay. Is your wife a partner of hers? Is your wife a roommate with her? Your kids are living in her house is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not aware of that, but I know that they've been in business for the last year filming. So every week a podcast goes up and I listen to it.
What's the name of it?
Connections with an X.
This would explain the film set discovered in Jody's house. As it turned out, Jody and Ruby both had a significant following on Instagram and YouTube. Jody was a therapist, and her accounts focused on counseling and family dynamics in alignment with the Church of Latter-day Saints, of which she and Ruby were both members. She called her program Connections and had written several books sharing her methods, and even taught online Zoom classes on the topics of family health and harmony. Ruby, meanwhile, created more slice-of-life content, cataloging daily life with her family as members of the Mormon faith. Her main platform was a YouTube account titled 8 Passengers, supplemented with an Instagram under the same name. In due time, the police would learn that the content made by Ruby and Jody had become unimaginably twisted behind the scenes.
Are you involved with their business efforts, or no?
And were you involved in the 8 Passengers account with your family?
Yes. I was in the videos.
Recently, Ruby's online presence had undergone a shift. She rebranded to Truth Mom, but began focusing less on her own channel in favor of working with Jody on Connections.
You guys got a lot of heat for neglect and child abuse. A lot of people commented those things on there. Why were they commenting those things?
That's a good question. We had a son who was acting out in very selfish behavior.
Is this Chad or?
Yes, this was Chad. And none of this is strange or odd. You could get on YouTube and find out all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, these behaviors are fun.
Eventually, Ruby stopped posting on her private YouTube account altogether, which Kevin said eliminated 90% of the family's income. Her last video on Jody's channel, though, had come
Bro, chat, guys, I'm gonna go fucking insane.
out.
These guys have a multi-million-dollar property, 10K subscribers. They don't post, they don't make any income. Were they doing some rug pull shit or some fucking donate to my church type fucking...
80% of the family's
alt account.
Income. Her last video on Jody's channel, though, had come out just 2 days ago. In the interrogation room, Kevin shared more about the situation, which led to public outcry against the Frankies.
He was being very cruel and mean to his siblings that he shared a room with. And so we removed him from the room. And we said, you can sleep anywhere you want. Sleep on the couch, sleep on the pull-out bed, sleep on the floor for all we care, but you're not sleeping in that room with your brother.
Disgusting.
He chose to sleep on a beanbag. So 9 months later...
I don't give a fuck. You have children? What do you mean question mark? Bro, should never let... Bro, you're raising children, they get a fucking bed. I don't give a fuck what you gotta do. You pull the bed out of the room, you put it somewhere else. You don't sleep on the fucking sofa. You don't sleep on the fucking whatever. You sleep on a fucking bed, bitch. How hard is that to understand?
He had made a lot of changes in his life.
Non-negotiable.
And he was ready to, and we had moved by that time. And so we had a new house, and he was ready to move into his own bedroom. Made a video about it. And in the video, he mentioned something of the effect of, I've been sleeping for 9 months on a beanbag. And that is what all the uproar was about.
This wasn't Ruby's only run-in with the law. Shockingly, just 5...
I'm out of touch. This guy's a multi-millionaire. I don't give a shit. When I was young, we were pretty broke. I wasn't even allowed to sleep on the couch.
Days before her arrest, she'd been pulled over while driving, with her kids in the car.
Hello. You know how fast you're going right there? No. Okay. Got you going 57 and a 35.
Ruby was sent on her way with only a speeding ticket. Back with Kevin, he explained that the situation with his oldest son, Chad, was the catalyst for Jody getting involved with the family. She was hired as Chad's therapist and had the boy personally paying her $900 a month. From there, her involvement with the family only grew. How this could have led to the breakup of the family and the near starvation of two of the children was yet to be explored.
During your marriage, how was disciplining your kids? How would you discipline your kids?
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that question.
Are you aware of the physical condition of your children?
No. No, I've chosen to trust my wife with the children. That was part of the agreement of our separation.
Kevin was about to learn the harrowing consequences this decision has caused.
He doesn't look very concerned.
A phone call from 911 on our dispatch that a 12 to 13-year-old boy was knocking on doors in a neighborhood asking for food and water. So he had,
I'm sorry, what?
He had duct tape on his extremities, on his hands, on his ankles, and those were covering rope burns that were used to tie him down. Take a second and think about what I just said. That's the condition of your son.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. The lack of showing concern, right, is concerning by itself. But you need to understand it. This guy's in a police station, right, being interrogated when the whole squad got arrested, right? This guy should have been worried from the fucking get-go. Doesn't even matter, no context, nothing. If you're being brought into the fucking police station because everybody else got put into the fucking police station, bro, you're tweaking the fuck out. Like, I don't know how, like you're missing that.
Given that information, your son was taken to the hospital. A warrant has been applied and granted by the Department of Child and Family Services to remove both Russell and Eve from your wife's care. Do you understand that?
I understand.
Would you condone that behavior?
Would I condone that behavior?
That's my job. My job is to find out your knowledge of the treatment of these
based
precious
on your description,
children.
No. But again, I don't know the details or I don't know what's going on, but as you described that sounds
horrible, disgusting. No human being should be treated like that.
The investigators stepped out to give Kevin a few private moments to come to terms with what he'd just learned. When the investigative team returned 10 minutes later, Kevin took the opportunity.
Guys, this guy being hostile, this interviewer or this detective, whatever, is counterintuitive. Building rapport and trying to make this guy open up and talk is the goal here, not to fucking scold him. Believe it or not, scolding happens later.
To ask a burning question.
what's going to happen with my wife? I love my wife.
I don't know. I'm being honest with you. I don't know. Haven't had an interview with you.
I don't know if those charges against my wife.
Possibly.
Oh yeah, fuck this guy. I fuck all of them. I don't give a fuck anymore.
I think given the circumstances, that's highly appropriate. But again,
That night, the police decided that Ruby would be booked into jail to await her attorney. Even this, though, failed to get a reaction from her.
Trace, you want to let you know what criminal charges for? So you're under arrest. It's going to be 2 counts, second-degree felony of child abuse or neglect. Okay? Do you understand that or no? Are you okay? I'm wondering if there's like a medical clearance that needs to, like, do you need medical attention before you go to the jail? Okay. Have you ever been arrested before?
But what
I'm
a
just
smug
concerned about
witch.
you. I know you don't believe that. But I've had an opportunity to talk to your husband and
Oh, my lawyer told me to not to speak to the police, so I will say Nothing, even the most basic shit. Like, what a
Kind of
fucking
worried about your
bitch, man.
circumstances and obviously your children as well. But you're sure you don't need medical attention or anything like that?
Are you some form
Jody,
of
too,
retarded?
was escorted to a police car to be transported to jail facing the same charges. Still inside the police station, Kevin learns more from the investigators about the children.
And so, I mean, this feels like getting run over by a steam truck while you're sharing with me today.
Yeah, I can tell you're caught off guard.
I thought I was just coming here to pick up my kids, and for what, I don't know what or why, but...
Also, this guy's been seeing children for 1 year, right? 1 year. Hey, I'm gonna say, there's no shot that much changed in a year. They were probably doing some dumb shit before.
That's why I'm taking it back with me. Everything you're sharing to me just sounds like a made-up story. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like...
Whatever. Could be.
It's just, it sounds like a horror movie.
Fuck it, I'm saying it. This guy has been on the defensive all the way through, right? And he's not even showing any signs of being on the attack and being mad at her and wanting to believe even more and being like, nah, fuck that bitch, whatever. This guy was instant at being on, oh, I love this girl. Bro, if this guy actually cared about his children the way a parent would, he would have immediately jumped against her off the rip. What are we on about? It's his children. 6 of them?
And what you're sharing
You're crazy, you're crazy.
Just feels like a sucker punch. I feel responsible. Separating, leaving. It hurts. I know you're all doing your jobs. And I know you all have the best interests of my kids in mind. I appreciate them.
Thanks. That means a lot.
I just want my kids back. I want my family back. I want my wife back.
It was doubtful either Ruby or Jody would be getting out of jail anytime soon. Jody grappled with this through the lens of religion while speaking with a friend she called from the county jail.
And I don't know if I'm going to be like some kind of example, but when I get out of here, I have a story to tell, and I'm going to try to do everything I can to protect the children, because that's what's happening, is that kids are being just horribly abused. Well, I have just been begging him, like, you've got to explain this to me. Like, I cannot logically figure out what's going on here. I mean, I should be here. I haven't done anything wrong.
Ruby, too, made some equally baffling claims during her jailhouse phone calls.
But the most upsetting thing is that I am completely misunderstood. That is the most horrible feeling. Like, my own family misunderstands me. They misinterpret me. And poor Jody, they misinterpret her. They misunderstand her. She puts her neck out on the line for people, and then they get mad at her. I mean, it is just horrendous. It's horrendous. And you know what? Every Joseph Smith, every wonderful man of God has had to be misunderstood. And I'm a good woman. I don't do naughty things. This is the witch hunt.
It wasn't all dark and twisted news, though. In a stroke of luck, the police located Julie and Abby. Shockingly, they were nowhere near the family home in Springville. Rather, they were located more than 20 miles away at a house belonging to Ruby's friend and fellow Connections member, Pam. How she'd gotten there, though, remained in question. Pam was handcuffed when the police arrived and agreed to answer some questions while waiting for additional investigators to arrive. While one officer sat with her, the other took the opportunity to check in with Julie.
A member of the podcast?
Do you need medical attention at all? Okay. Is there a reason you're so scared right now? It's us? Okay. Well, I'm sorry if you've had a negative interaction with law enforcement in the past, okay? My intention is not to scare you. Do you go to school?
Down the driveway, Pam was
Well, just not very skilled at kind of building that rapport, like bridging the gap here. Like, brother, even when you're young, you see somebody who's taller than you, standing tall, whatever, with their fucking whole outfit on, service belt, gun, shit like that. Everybody's shutting down, brother. But you gotta lower down at their height or under and do all
was
that.
unhandcuffed when investigators
basic,
arrived from Springville. She told them that she'd received a call from Ruby asking her to pick up 2 of her daughters while she dealt with a family emergency. Up until this point, the officers were under the impression that it was only Julie at the house, but Pam clarified that her older sister Abby was also there. Thankfully, neither she nor Julie appeared to be in physical distress like Russell or Eve. Julie and Abby appeared hesitant to go with DCFS representatives when they arrived, but were safely taken into custody to await the outcome of the investigation. The uncertainty over Abby and Julie's whereabouts had been answered, but so many questions remained. First and foremost, the quandary of what could...
Is this chat like a mega ultra dumb fuck? Why are you guys saying booba and like what
physical
is wrong
distress like Russell or Eve? Julie and Abby appeared hesitant to go with DCFS representatives when they arrived, but were safely taken into custody to await the outcome of the investigation. The uncertainty over Abby and Julie's whereabouts had been answered, but so many questions remained. First and foremost, the quandary of what could have happened to leave Russell and Eve so frail and traumatized. Kevin returned to the police station with his lawyer for a second interview. The additional details he was about to share.
I can't take a joke. Okay. Want to hear the good joke? Here's a good joke. Okay. Why did the chicken cross the road? That's a good joke. Okay. Here's a bad joke. Oh, massive ass on screen. Yummy. Yum. Let me lick that. Yum. What kind of joke is that?
Short of astonishing.
Have you found the pen papers?
The pen papers.
So it described all of the visions and trances and everything that Jody and Ruby went into.
How thick would you say it was?
It was like 3 inches thick or so. And there were hundreds of pages of written documents. It's something Jody would not want found.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't want to destroy it.
Because we do have Ruby's journal, which is from those dates that you mentioned.
These things are going to be so... The stuff she wrote in the pen papers, she would not write in her journal. The stuff she wrote in the pen papers was not intended to be read by anybody until God would decree them to be written as scripture for the whole world to read.
Okay.
I believe that's what...
This guy is... Oh, okay.
In the script.
He said...
Anybody until God would decree them to be written as...
To be written in scriptures. How does that even...
Scripture for the whole world to read.
Okay.
Okay.
I believe that's what we have.
It wasn't certain whether the documents found by the police were actually Ruby's pen papers or just a journal. Regardless of what they were called, the contents revealed a wealth of heinous secrets. On July 10th, 2022, Ruby wrote, "Eve and Russell have been in so much deviant behavior they won't control their bodily functions. I never would have suspected the cold, dead heart Russell has." Ruby echoed these sentiments in one of the phone calls she made from jail.
Adults have a really hard time understanding that children can be full of evil and what that takes to fight it.
According to the journal, Russell and Eve were locked in closets, made to do physical labor, wall sits, jump on a trampoline, stand out in the rain, and carry heavy boxes up and down the stairs for hours on end. When Eve slipped and fell while carrying the boxes, Ruby accused her of doing so on purpose, and then shaved her head as punishment.
What?
And this was just brushing the surface of what the children endured.
I've never had a kid quite like Eve, but she does not like to sit and listen. I don't know if that's just her personality and she just needs me to be more strict with her than what was required with some of the other kids, or if she is displaying hyperactivity tendencies. So I'm gonna try to figure that out today. I honestly don't know which way it's gonna go. She knows that I mean it and I'm gonna carry through with it. If she absolutely is not capable, then I'm going to maybe take further measures to figure out if there's hyperactivity tendencies going on, or if she stays and she's really good and she listens, then it probably just means she needs a little bit more of a...
She probably means, guys, do your own research, guys. Listen, no, do your own research, guys. Home remedy, potions, shit like that. What a fucking retard, bro. Go to the fucking doctor. Go to the fucking... Oh my God.
Routine with her.
Holy shit.
According to Kevin, the fight against so-called evil had not originated with the children. In fact, the downward spiral had begun more than a year prior under some very strange circumstances.
We went out to like a dinner afterwards, and that's where Jody really opened up to the women in a private conversation that she believed she was being tormented and haunted by shadow figures every night, and that was spooky.
Ruby also revealed that Russell and Eve still sometimes failed to control their bodily functions. She presented this as a method by which they defied her.
Bro,
back with Kevin, he alleged that Jody's experiences had rapidly grown more intense.
She was walking along the beach with Jesus, and Jesus challenged her to go walk on the water.
Yo, where is Jesus, man? Guys, where is he? Brother, I understand people believe in Jesus. No! That's fine. I'm not saying anything against that. I'm just saying this guy talks like the guy showed up.
That
the guy's talking like the guy showed up.
She believed every night.
Revealed that Russell method by which they defied her. Back with Kevin, he alleged
was walking along the beach with Jesus, and Jesus challenged her to go walk on the water, and it was a whole lesson on walking on the water.
And that was still just the tip of the iceberg. The more investigators read of Ruby's journal, the more depraved the story became. Tuesday, big day for evil, she wrote on July 11th. All night, Eve screamed and cried and hit her head on the tile floor. Today, Jody confronted her. Eve admits to putting on a show for her mother. Eve said she wants to be pitiful. When the investigators read on and learned what torment Eve had endured to reach this level of desperation, they likely didn't know whether to be enraged or heartbroken. Jody mentioned her experiences with what she called the spirit in one of her jail phone calls.
When I feel the spirit, I have two physiological reactions. I get really shaky, like I'm shivering, like I'm cold, or I feel heat, like I have a fever run through me. It felt like I was burning up, and I was just shaking with gratitude. Like, here's your answer. Here's what this is.
Back with Kevin, he revealed that while Jody's alleged visions had initially seemed positive, things quickly took a much darker turn, and things changed inside the house.
There was a lot of satanic ones. When she would go into possession,
I wouldn't lump all the Mormons into this. I don't like being like a hateful, judging person. Okay, these aren't Mormons. These are morons. It's a whole different bracket. Like, you gotta stop doing that shit.
She would talk in like different voices. It was really creepy. But the voices would say, "She's ours. We're not letting go. She is Satan's bride. She's mine. I'm going to marry her." If she was faking it, she believed that Satan wanted her as her bride.
The journal revealed that Eve experienced horrific punishments.
I think
this is the day Eve anticipates breaking her 2-day
fast,
it is. Ruby wrote. I let Russell know.
Whoa.
The day Eve anticipates breaking her 2-day fast, Ruby wrote. I let Russell know she has hardened her heart and will do one more day of fasting to invite her to humble. Eve flips out and begins ranting. All day, Eve makes rhymes about "my mom starves me" and calls it fasting. In his second interview, Kevin continued his
Why, the child's smarter than the mom.
description of what it was like to live with Jody.
I can't explain some of the stuff that happened while we were there. Like crashes in the basement while we were talking upstairs. And plates like in the kitchen just flying off by themselves, like full speed, smashing on the wall and falling to the floor. And I don't have any way to explain it other than there's some crazy going on.
On other occasions, Eve was doused with water in the dog wash and made to sleep on the basement floor. And it only got worse going forward. Kevin, too, said that back in 2021, the situation with Jody took a similar downward trajectory as she became increasingly entwined with his family.
But it reached the point where in August, her bishop at the time, he's not her bishop anymore, but I mean, he was going over there every night, and he'd be there for like 4 hours, and he'd be like, I'm fighting evil spirits.
Okay. Is that what we're calling it? Fighting evil spirits, bro. When you're laying some cold hard pipe, okay, you're not fighting spirits. Come on, man. 4 hours. Okay, dude. Okay.
Crazy stuff going on.
Okay, buddy.
And finally, he got to the point where he's like, I can't do this anymore. Like, there needs to be some sort of resolution.
After the bishop left, the first attempted fix was for Jody to move in with another family involved with connections. The opinions Kevin shared about what happened with that family reflect only his beliefs, and we have not been able to verify them.
According to that, after 6 weeks and trying to seduce the husband of the family, they kicked her out.
While there was no way to prove that Jody had been held against her will, the police knew for a fact that Russell and Eve had been. Ruby documented one particularly horrific confrontation between Russell and Jody, whom she refers to frequently as G-Joe. G-Joe takes Russell on a little walk to the pool, Ruby wrote. She talks on how Russell has love twisted. G-Joe then pushed Russell into the pool. Meanwhile, Kevin recounted the events after Jody either escaped or was kicked out of the other family's home.
It was at that point that they said, why don't you take her up to your house? And I was like, oh, hell no. I don't want this in my house. But I was beaten over the head with it. Like, that's really...
Yeah, but then he characterized her as a very truthful person when he got to the police station, though?
Really insensitive. You know, she's done so much to help our family, and you're being selfish, and she has needs, and come on, like, it won't be for long. And so I relented, and I was like, okay.
Later in his second interview, Kevin told the police about the drastic changes that took place in the Frankie house after Jody moved in.
The moment she showed up in my house, just the weirdest crap started happening. Lights turning on and off.
Does he went to the police station? This is the second interview. I look at the top. Second interview. He got there covering his own ass, covering whatever the fuck, with some form of guilt. Talked to his lawyer, comes back, throws under the bus because the kid's gonna flip and it's his only way out. That's it. That's what happens.
Sounds like people walking in walls, and like sounds like footprints going up walls and across the ceiling, and stuff floating around. And I became the resident exorcist. That was the title I came up with myself. I thought it was kind of funny. Whenever she started to like go into a trance and go into possession, which started to be a lot. And Ruby would go up and check on her. It started like every 4 hours at night, and then it moved every 2 hours at night, then it moved every hour at night, and then at some point Ruby said, you know what, I'm just going to start sleeping in there. And if I need you, I'll come down and get you.
What? Kevin said that Ruby and Jody began sleeping in the same bed. However, this was only the beginning, and soon Kevin noticed that he was being subjected to unique restrictions.
I could leave when I wanted, but I couldn't come back until Ruby gave me permission. I couldn't come into the kitchen to eat until Ruby gave me permission. And the upstairs where Jody roamed was completely off.
Nope. This is tailored. Bro, maybe this is partial truths. Now, guys, you can say CLM, but this is a tailored CLM scenario to make his story stick. This is just a way to frame everything so that it encapsulates all the rest of the story in a way that it holds.
Ruby would dictate all of the terms of how our interactions would be when we would talk. No matter what I did, no matter how like much I tried to track better, be truthful and not be selfish. Every week it was like, you're being manipulative, you're being selfish, you're lying, you're hiding something, you're still hiding stuff. And I really started to like question my sanity, honestly. It became more and more and more and more and more isolated. Jody had an approved list of men that I could make phone calls to.
What? This appeared to be a method Ruby repeated with Russell at Jody's house. Ruby recounted in the journal how she woke one night to find Russell missing, and a note written in pebbles on the balcony which read, "Jail. I will call when I get there." Panicked, Ruby said she and Jody searched the house, then got in their cars and began driving around looking for Russell, which Ruby described as racing the devil. They brought him home. Disturbingly, she went on to describe the concession of letting Russell sleep in a bed and feeding him a full meal the next day as like stitching up a patient knowing you didn't get all the cancer out.
Okay, look at me. Don't say help anymore.
You just said it.
Yeah, so I'm very clear what I'm talking about. Don't say that again. Do you understand? Because next time you won't be smiling on your face.
Kevin explained that the situation never improved as everyone tried to appease Jody and Ruby.
So I was completely cut off. You know, if I went to my church leaders, I was seeking enablement. If I went to my family, I was seeking enablement. If I went to anybody, I was seeking enablement. I felt trapped. And that's where I was all the way up until the last week of July, when Jody called me one day out of the blue and just said, "I don't understand why you're not getting it."
While everything the police had learned so far was certainly horrific, they would soon realize that it almost got unimaginably worse.
Chad, this is fucking table on, guys, above everything that they're already doing. Look at the kids. Brother, this house is fucking, it's secluded. If they want to go get the help or go to the neighbor, bro, they probably have to walk fucking a bunch in the fucking burning motherfucking sand and shit.
For the children. Based on the journal entries, the authors believed that the children's bodies needed to be engaged in painful good work as punishment. Just as Ruby and Jody set out to look for rural land in Arizona for the Frankie children to work, Ruby got a text. "I found the land." As the move to Arizona loomed dangerously closer, it became obvious that the women wanted the pair to choose punishment over respite. In an emotional phone call made from her jail cell, Jody had this to say on the topic.
Nobody wants the truth. Nobody wants the truth. Nobody wants the truth because these kids, I told Doug, I woke up, the spirit told me, it's all the devil. I mean, you've seen him. And he uses these kids. And he uses all of us as the adults, the parents that don't hold the kids accountable. So now it's abusive to make a kid sleep on the floor. It's abusive. Or it's abusive to, that's ridiculous. You can't even raise your kids anymore.
This was the sort of stance Jody put forth through her program, Connections. At its peak, her Instagram had over 10,000 followers, leaving the police to wonder just how many other children might have suffered the ramifications of her influence. Later, in the midst of the investigation, Kevin continued his story of his family's breakdown.
So that separation continued all the way up until the holidays, maybe. And then Ruby ended that separation. Jody went home the second week of January. But by that time, Ruby, Pam, and Jody were completely determined to do this work that they felt God had for them. I thought it was crazy. I thought it was just that crazy.
When talking with Kevin, the police learned just how far Ruby was willing to go to pursue her work with Jody.
She wanted to legally, work with Jody's attorney to give Jody 8 passengers and become an employee of Connections. Basically, the contract was Ruby gives Jody everything and Ruby gets nothing in return. Our YouTube manager at the time was like, red flags. I don't know how to tell you. She is scamming you. Ruby fired him.
Regarding this issue of Ruby and Jody's business entanglement, Ruby made some interesting claims in one of her calls from jail. In fact, she seemed to be changing her attitude towards Jody entirely.
Jody Hildebrandt never was my business partner, nor was I ever her employee. I never received wages from Connections or Jody. In 2019, I hired her as a counselor for my son, and then in 2020, I paid her to be my mentor. She's a whirlpool. She just pulls you.
Regardless of any legal business arrangements, finances became an increasingly central component of the travesty that befell the Frankie children. This became clear when police continued reading Ruby's journal and gained further insight into the disturbing reasons she and Jody were looking into moving to Arizona. "Jody and I took Eve out into the desert," Ruby wrote. "She went out into the heat, barefoot."
So this guy could have pulled the plug the whole time. This guy could have cut off the power. This guy could have cut off the payments or whatever. This guy could have cut out the whole operation, and these guys wouldn't have been able to do their shit then, right?
Eve still tried to run. She screamed for another family, water, food, care, love. Oh, Eve, a manipulative ploy. Ruby's journal entry about taking Eve to the desert became even more heartbreaking. Apparently, it was only after Eve collapsed on the road exhausted that Ruby took her home, but not for long. The very next day, Ruby, Russell, Eve, and Julie all returned to the desert. For the next 3 days, the children were...
Brother, her 10K subscribers YouTube was 90% of their income. Not the guy, her. So if the guy pulled the plug, these guys are making like fucking $150 a month. Like what?
Were made to weed and tidy a cemetery on a nearby Native American reservation. They were not allowed to wear shoes or gloves, despite the fact that there was broken glass and thorns everywhere. At one point, Russell became so desperate to escape the heat that he stuck his head in the toilet. Footage of this suffering was captured by a local who explained in no uncertain terms to Ruby that she was not welcome there and that she would be filing a police report. This, Ruby wrote in her journal, was a sign that the devil does not want us to take Russell and Eve out of society. Apparently, relocating to Arizona was their chosen method of avoiding further unwanted attention. One has to wonder how long the plan to get to Arizona was in process, though, based on an interaction Kevin mentioned happened before the separation.
Ruby started threatening me with another separation. And just like, this isn't about money, this is about doing God's work. So we continued in that dynamic for the next 6 or 7 months until she went on a trip with Jody and Pam down to Arizona. And I think they, like, when I read her journal, she went into Mexico or something.
But there's a lot of layers to this, though. This guy accepted the schematics to build this compound with the safe, with the weird panic house, with a bathroom in it. What's the explanation for that?
Drugs or something, like prescription drugs for the emergency kits. And when she came back from that trip, before she even brought the bags into the house, she pulled me in and said, I want to talk with you. And that's when she asked me to leave.
And so Kevin left and got an apartment in Springsville. At some subsequent point, Ruby also left the family home for the house in Ivans to live with Jody, where the lives of her children would become a living nightmare. Back with Kevin, he said that when Ruby initiated contact again, he had no idea the sinister plan she had in store for their children.
Around that time, things with Ruby started, like, picking up. And I didn't understand why, but, like, Ruby wanted to meet in a parking lot and wanted me to sign over 2 of our cars, wanted me to sign them over to her name. I'm in total compliance mode at this point. Just like, I'm a good husband, you see, you can trust me.
Ruby's comments on the journal somehow managed to become even more disturbing. She wrote, "This girl would choose to be shot and die than to humble." Even that wasn't the most disturbing part, though, because after locking Eve in the closet overnight, they decided to treat her injuries from the cactus. Ruby said, "The spirit was very strong as Julie and I witnessed Jody cleaning what did not deserve to be clean." Kevin continued his story, discussing the moment he found that his family had disappeared to live in Ivans, leaving their own house empty.
But when I returned to the house, everything was packed up, and a neighbor came over and said she asked for the HOA rules and mentioned to him that she wanted to rent the house out. Which I was like, are you kidding me? And apparently she wanted to sell the house, but couldn't because my name was on the mortgage.
In another jail call, Ruby revealed that the Arizona scheme had gotten further along than anyone yet knew. One shudders to think what could have happened if Russell hadn't escaped before the move.
I pulled the money and I have it in a bag.
With you? Do the police have it?
Well, I don't know what the police took.
But the bag was at Jody's house?
They can't just take people's money. I mean, that's not right.
In a stunning twist, the person on the other end of the phone was none other than Kevin himself. In the days following Ruby's arrest, the pair made several phone calls where Kevin tried to ensure he received custody of the children and secured the money that Ruby had pulled out. Kevin's demeanor towards Ruby in these calls might be unexpected.
I am committed to our family. I'm committed to you and our marriage. No matter what happens, I will be here to support you in any way that I can.
Well, thank you for stepping up.
During this call, Kevin and Ruby agreed to limit their contact going forward to strengthen Kevin's chances of gaining legal custody of the children. A discovery made the next day, though, blew that out of the water.
The bag's gone.
What?
The bag is gone.
What? What?
There's no bag.
The only thing more shocking than the bag's disappearance was where Ruby had gotten the funds in the first place. Kevin and his lawyer revealed the source of the missing $85,000 while speaking with police.
That money, she cleaned out their bank accounts.
The kids' savings accounts.
Yeah, and yours too, your joint account.
Yeah.
That's where that money came from.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you can have, or if I need to have a discussion with the county attorney. Kevin would kind of like his kids' money back.
Unfortunately, tracking down the money and attempting to return it to the children would likely become a separate civil case. While Ruby didn't comment on this directly while in jail, she had more thoughts to share the longer she was behind bars.
The devil is so sly, and I'm embarrassed it took such a huge slap in the face to wake up to it.
On another call with her parents, Ruby proofread a court statement she wrote to address her children and acknowledge her actions.
I would do anything in this world for you. My willingness to sacrifice all for you was masterfully manipulated into something very ugly. I took from you all that was safe and soft and good. I took from you your mother. How terrifying this must have been for you. I will never, ever stop crying for hurting your tender souls. You are such a very precious part of me. I'm so very sorry.
But no apology in the world could begin to undo the horrible trauma experienced by the Frankie children. In contrast to Ruby's attempt to make amends, Jody's response was the same as it was at the beginning of the investigation.
The Lord says that first they'll lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons. And the children shall rise up against their parents and shall cause them to be put to death.
Whoa.
That statement right there is what's going on with me. The children shall rise up and put their parents to death, and you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake.
Ultimately, Ruby and Jody were charged with 6 felony counts of child abuse and neglect each. Rather than go to trial, Ruby and Jody pleaded guilty to 4 counts of child abuse. Though their cases were adjudicated separately, they received the same sentences. On each count, Jody and Ruby were sentenced to serve between 1 and 15 years in prison. The sentences were to be consecutive, meaning both women could be behind bars for up to 60 years, which could be the rest of their lives.
Or up to 4
Kevin
years and good
continues to
behavior
lobby
too.
for custody of his children, who were taken by DCFS and placed in foster care. The Frankie's oldest daughter, Sherry, is writing a book about her upbringing and has requested the public respect the privacy of her younger siblings as they attempt to recover. While their current status is unknown, we can only hope that the Frankie children are at long last experiencing the kindness and gentleness that they deserve.
I mean, you would think it's a nice compound, but this house is sucky. Bro, you're far out. Like, what do you even do there, man? It's hard to order food. It's hard to get friends over. It's hard to do fucking anything. It's fucking hot and burning. You don't really want to go out. Bro, look at the fucking driveway and shit. What the fuck do you even do there? You're out there to fucking die. Fuck this. Can't see your clip, 420.